Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, gratefully recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with anybody you think might get something out of it. How is everybody today, guys? Yeah, wet. That's how I am. I'm wet. Wet, cold, raw day, but you know what? At least it's not snow just yet. We take the, we look for the good in things today, guys. We're getting into the reading. This is a very important and it's a great reading, actually. I like this one a lot. Recovery, our first priority. We have to keep our recovery first and our priorities in order. Before coming to recovery, we used many excuses to justify our use of drugs. He yelled at me, she said this, my partner left, I got fired, etc. We use these same excuses for not seeking help for our drug problem. We had to realize that these things kept happening because we kept using drugs. Only when we made recovery our first priority did these situations begin to change. Well, we may be subject to that tendency today, using excuses for not attending meetings and for being of service. Our current excuses may be of a different nature. I can't leave my kids, vacation wore me out, I have to finish this project to impress my boss. That's what I used to be guilty of all the time, guys. But still, if we don't make recovery our first priority, chances are we won't have to worry about these excuses anymore. Kids, vacation, jobs probably won't be in our lives if we relapse. Our recovery must come first. Job or no job, relationship or no relationship. We need to work our recovery program and to be of service to God and others. These simple actions are what make it possible for us to have vacations, have bosses, and have families. To worry about recovery to worry about recovery is the foundation of our lives, making everything else possible. I'm sorry. Recovery is the foundation of we won't have families, jobs, bosses to worry about. Sorry. Recovery is the foundation of our lives, and that's what makes everything else possible. The affirmation is just for today. I will keep my priorities in order. Number one on that list is my recovery. And guys, that's the one thing that I've done pretty well. Again, I never saying perfect because perfect doesn't exist. It's an excuse not to act. When you're waiting for anything to be perfect, you're just going to sit there and do nothing. And it's something I did for a long time. It's something a lot of people excuse. It's why I bring it up on this channel a lot. The one thing I promised myself in rehab, and I've held myself to that, was that I would chase my recovery as hard as I chased the drugs. And I mean, to the best of my ability. I keep my recovery first. I've changed everything about myself by working a spiritual program, by having conscious contact, relationship with my higher power, whom I choose to call God, by looking at the actions I took, the way I thought. Literally, guys, my mind was broken. The way I thought was just, it was just askew. It was crazy. I look back at it now and I'm like, how in God's no, not in God's name. How in my name did I justify the way that I justified things or refuse to look at situations what they really are? Like one thing I've greatly enjoyed, and I don't know, I guess enjoyed in a sadistic kind of way, or just appreciate the growth that I've made, is I noticed early on that as I would interact with people, we all tell war stories and this and that, all of my stories started to change. And I didn't do it intentionally, but because I was doing the work, because I was following the steps and working a recovery program to the best of my ability, working a spiritual program to the best of my ability, and just focusing on being the best version of me and trying to correct my actions by correcting myself, correcting the way, my broken thinking. I noticed that as I go to tell stories that I told hundreds of times, I couldn't do it anymore. And I never, guys, if you put me on a lie detector back when I was telling those stories, I would have passed because I believed that was what happened. Because I never honestly looked at anything. This time around, I did, and boy, did those stories start to change. And I don't take great pleasure in knowing that I was lying to myself, but you know what? I'm thrilled that I now understand that I was lying to myself. And I'm even more thrilled that I've been able to let that go and stop lying to myself because you know what? When I told those stories back then, I didn't get anything out of them. I didn't, I was just trying to sell a victim mentality. That's literally all I was doing. And again, it is what it is. Not something I'm proud of, but I'm proud that I've overcome it. And I was only able to overcome it by actually looking at it honestly and understanding that that's what I was doing. when you don't understand is what you're doing, you don't know it's wrong. You're not going to fix it. We have to keep recovery first, and in order to have a successful, fully enjoyable recovery, you want it to be an honest one, right? And again, I preach accountability, and I don't. There's so many situations where yes, we're not always at fault, guys, but we have to take accountability for our actions. And the thing is, that's all we focus on here. I understand that things happen to us that are not our faults, and other people aren't perfect, and nobody does. People do shitty things. Okay, I understand that, and I'm not belittling anybody, and I'm certainly not trying to make light of anything anybody has been through. My point being, we get into recovery and we focus on our accountability, because when you do that, you start to see the patterns that got you into those situations where somebody was able to take advantage of you, or unless it's outright held at gunpoint type bullshit. In that case, do whatever you got to do to make that right legally. And that's another thing that's changed, guys, and I'm proud of that fact today. I was all about vigilante justice, and thought that was fully justified back in the day. And now I understand that even if it's justified, we just can't do it. Like I have to be careful. I have a record that is not pretty, and my fault. And I've been guilty of pretty much everything I've ever been charged with or convicted of, give or take a little here and there. And certainly, if I wasn't guilty of that particular offense, I'd certainly done it 100 times. So, not to say that everything's been perfect, but it's when you sit there in a victim mentality, you just and even if you were victimized, guys, somehow we did something to get ourselves into that predicament, right? And the thing is, that's what you can correct. That's what you can learn from. That's what you can grow from. And if you want to have a beautiful, and every one of you can, that's what you got to understand, guys. Every one of you, every one of us is capable of absolutely anything we want in our life. We just have to put the work in. Simple as that. And I'm literally walking proof of that, guys. If you told me even a year ago, and I even said it in like one of my first or second video, I'm like, I've turned my will over to God. I know God wants better for me. I asked you, I implore you to watch this channel for a year and watch how much my situation changes. I didn't know in any way, shape, or form what that was going to entail. And that was good. I was glad I was left in the dark of that, because I would have been so overwhelmed I wouldn't have believed it, and I may not have taken the steps necessary to cut me here. So I let go of all that. I took my spin off of it, my demands, my expectations. I just removed and said, okay, surrender. Look up the definition. It means turn it over, okay? Like, you're not giving up, not declaring a loss. It is turning it over. I turned my will over to God and said, okay, whatever you put in my field of vision, I will analyze. I will try to digest and respond. Before I act, I will try to look at what that situation is going to lead to without making demands or expectations on it, and I will just try to do the best I can. And little by little, I started seeing this amazing progress in all these different ways. And again, the first few months, it was all just from within. I started to figure out who I was. I started to figure out what mattered to me. I started to figure out what the fuck I was doing wrong, which was pretty much everything at that point. And again, I didn't let that overwhelm me. I just said, okay, well, baby steps. So what I started to do was, before I would act, I would stop and I would think about it and say, okay, is this an old behavior, or is this what I want to talk about on a video? And that's one thing why I'm so incredibly grateful that I stuck with this idea to do this channel. I thought this channel, I didn't know what I thought, and I just knew when I was meditating in rehab, this channel kept coming to me, and I didn't know, guys. I didn't have the wherewithal to understand what it was going to do for me at that point. Like, I don't know, I didn't expect it to go viral. I didn't know what to expect, but I just knew every time I prayed and meditated, this answer kept coming back. You've got to do your YouTube channel. Because it was one good idea I had, and at that point I could barely put a coherent thought together, and it kept coming to me. Well, guys, what it's done for me is it's allowed me to hold myself accountable every minute of every day, because I will not be somebody that's going to get on here and be a hypocrite and tell anybody else to do anything that I'm not doing myself. So as I started to go through my day, and again, it's particularly early on when I didn't have a whole lot going on in my life, guys. Like, the idea of having to come up with content for a video every single day was horrifying. So I was literally looking for an opportunity to show my best self every minute of every day, every interaction I had, what that did was taught me to stop making good decisions, taught me to start acting in ways that I could be proud of myself. And that was a gift from God, guys, because one of the biggest problem I had was I didn't see the value in myself. And I have inherent value as a person. I still am an overproducer. I go out and I work harder than anybody else. But again, at least now I'm doing it because I'm doing it for myself and I'm building a business and I'm learning to know my worth and I'm learning to charge. And my brother and I had a conversation about that the other day. Like, I'm making so much more money now than I started with the business, and it grows exponentially, constantly, because I gained the confidence to understand that I have the, and again, I'm not going to go gouge anybody, I'm not going to overcharge anybody, but I've been building a business while undercharging because I'm capable of working harder, and that's great. But who should benefit from me working harder other than me and my family and my loved ones and my inner circle? Yes, I love being fair. I like building a reputation of being that, and I will continue to do so. But my rates have pretty much doubled, if not then some, because that's how much I was giving myself away, even feeling confident, having the confidence to go out and do the work. And I have no problem with that. I'm not saying that it was something wrong. I think it was actually a great way to build a business because again, God put it in my field of energy. That's every positive thing that I've done has been a direct result of prayer and meditation. So I've got to give God credit for it because He's led me in the direction that He's wanted me to the point where I can feel confident and I can have these experiences and I can learn my value and understand that I deserve to be compensated properly for the work that I do because I'm giving better service than most. I'm giving up my free time, my valuable time, and answering calls in the middle of the night and running out and taking care of emergency calls. I'm accepting the responsibility that goes with offering those services, and I deserve to be compensated appropriately. And as I'm learning to do so, I had a situation just last week. A customer who I hadn't worked with in quite a while because I knew he was using me because I was really, really cheap in the beginning and he got in a jam and he needed me to go out to Lawrence and fix a heating system. And I'm like, yep, no problem. And I went right out. And before I did it, I let him know what it was going to cost when I got there and got it diagnosed. And it was literally 3 times what I charged him to do almost the same job on a different house, 6, 7 months ago. And you know what, guys? He didn't balk for a second. He knew full well that the value was well worth it. My prices were incredibly fair. I was still getting a great charge. But I have the confidence now. Instead of charging A, I charged C, and I made 3 times the money, and that's why I'm progressing, and that's given me opportunities in life. That's why I'm getting ever closer to my dream of owning real estate. And it's not even a dream now; it was always my dream, but now it's my reality. I'm about to start owning rental property, which means I'm going to have a long-term, secure future. I'm going to have the ability to not have to work myself to the bone for the rest of my life. And that's literally a year ago what I was looking at. I was going to have to work every single day till I dropped dead because I didn't have a damn thing to fall back on. And I hadn't paid taxes up until this business in, guys, I don't even know, 15, 20 years. So I didn't have Social Security. I didn't have any of that available. That's why I didn't get a stimulus check when they were handing them out like candy. And again, and back then, I'm like, oh, it's my luck, I'm cursed. No, it's a result of my actions. I've ducked the government in any way, shape, or form for 20 years. What the hell? As far as the IRS is concerned, I didn't exist. How the hell are they going to hand me a stimulus check? I see that now. I take accountability for that now, and I don't go asking for them. I don't scam, and I don't do fraud. And therefore, I like who I am at the end of the day. I pay taxes now. Now I'll have something to fall back on. But beyond that, and again, I'm to the point now where I'm starting to open up to relationship, which is amazing. We'll talk about that in the future, but anyway. And you know what? I'm going to have a secure future to offer somebody to spend the rest of my life with. Meaning, we'll be able to take vacations and travel and go to, Aruba or anywhere else we want. These are all things because God has shown me my value, and I followed everything God has shown me. As it gets better and better constantly, like literally the miracles that manifest in my life over this year have been shocking. They continue to. You know why? Because twice or more, really minimum twice a day, I drop to my hands and knees and I thank God for all the blessings in my life, the ones that I have and the ones that continue to come into my life. And then I get up and act accordingly. I try to be that best version of myself. And it's gotten so much easier. I had to work so hard at figuring out what was a good behavior and what wasn't in the beginning because I just didn't know. And I'm not blaming myself for that. That's okay. It was a result of the actions I was taking for so long. Now it's kind of the point. And the thing is, guys, when you do these things, and it's got to the point it's so easy for me to just be a good person. I don't have to try. I'm genuinely interested in hearing other people's stories. I've finally figured out that everybody has something of value to share. So instead of looking at somebody and stereotyping them and thinking their background's nothing like mine, I'm not going to listen to them, I couldn't possibly gain anything from them, I listen to everybody. Chairing the A meeting's been a big part of that. I'm the face of the Friday, so people have a tendency to come up and speak to me. And I give every one of them my attention fully. And it's amazing, like, the wisdom that comes from different people. We all have so many shared experiences, as unique as we all are. That brings me to another point I haven't brought up in a long time, and I really enjoyed this when I started making the videos. Guys, God makes no mistakes. No two of us are the same. Every single one of us has our own unique path to walk in this life, and every one of us has our own unique gift to give to humanity. And for all of us to progress, every one of us is necessary. So when you don't do the work and you fall back into victim mode and you don't face the things you have to face and then present your ideas and your thoughts and your honest highest self to the world, you're depriving yourself and you're depriving everybody else. We all have a responsibility to add to this world, to care for this world, to care for each other, and just to make this world a better place. When somebody said, my brother said to me the other night, when he brought up the fact that his children who have never experienced anything like this watch my videos, and he's like, part of that is Pat. He's like, a lot of people that aren't addicts that I know watch your videos because there's so many good lessons in that they can share with their kids that might help them from ever having to deal with addiction. If you let me know one person never has to deal with addiction because of what I've done, what more could I ask for? It's absolutely amazing, right? Guys, the video's getting a little long. I'm going to call it that. Thank you all so much for being here with me. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.